What if death isn't the end, but a doorway to something we've never been meant to understand? What if the moment we close our eyes for the last time, we open them to something entirely different? Today, we're exploring the extraordinary account of a woman who experienced clinical death not once, not twice, but 3 times. And each time she crossed that threshold, she found herself in a different realm. The third one, it fundamentally challenged everything she believed about existence, consciousness, and what lies beyond our mortal understanding. Her name was Sarah Mitchell, an ordinary woman living an extraordinary life until the moment her heart stopped beating for the first time. It was a routine surgery that turned tragic. The doctors told her afterward that she had flatlined for 47 seconds. 47 seconds in which Sarah experienced something that would haunt and transform her forever. She found herself standing in what she described as an endless garden. Not metaphorically speaking, she was certain of this. The colors were hyperreal, more vivid than anything she'd ever witnessed on Earth. Flowers bloomed in impossible hues of violet and gold. A figure approached her, radiating warmth and unconditional love. She felt safe, more safe than she'd ever felt in her life. And then, without warning, she was gasping for air, her eyes snapping open to the beeping monitors and the concerned faces of trauma doctors surrounding her. Years passed. Sarah recovered fully from her first near-death experience, but something inside her had shifted. She couldn't shake the memory of that garden, that figure, that overwhelming sense of peace. She tried to return to her normal life, but the experience had left an indelible mark on her soul. Then came the second death. A car accident on a rainy highway. This time, she was clinically dead for 93 seconds. When her consciousness emerged again, she wasn't in a garden. She was standing in what appeared to be a vast library. The walls stretched infinitely upward, lined with books that seemed to glow with their own inner light. Each book represented, she believed, a human life, a consciousness, a story. She could perceive information flowing through the air like invisible rivers of knowledge. She understood languages she'd never learned. She felt the collective memory of humanity flowing through her. There was an overwhelming sense of purpose here, of interconnection. Everyone and everything was linked through these infinite threads of meaning. Then, just as suddenly, she was back. The second time, she'd been unconscious for longer. The doctors were amazed she'd survived at all. Sarah was terrified now. What were these experiences? Hallucinations from a dying brain? Divine messages? Visions from another dimension? She sought answers from religious leaders, from scientists, from therapists. No one could adequately explain what was happening to her. Some suggested it was simply her brain's final moments creating elaborate fantasies. Others spoke of spiritual awakenings. She felt isolated, trapped between two worlds, the physical reality everyone around her lived in, and these other realms she'd glimpsed twice. Then came the third death. This time, it wasn't an accident or a medical complication. Sarah suffered a massive stroke at home. She collapsed and remained clinically dead for 144 seconds, 2 minutes and 24 seconds in which everything she thought she understood about reality shattered like glass. When she emerged from unconsciousness this time, she found herself in a place unlike anything from her previous experiences. It wasn't a garden. It wasn't a library. She was standing in what appeared to be a city made entirely of light and consciousness itself. Beings of pure energy moved through the landscape. They weren't humanoid exactly, but she understood their presence as conscious entities. And then came the revelation that changed everything. These beings communicated with her directly, not through words, but through pure understanding that materialized instantly in her mind. They showed her that the garden she'd seen the first time was a waiting place, a space her mind created because she wasn't ready. The library was a threshold space where her consciousness was learning the language of the spiritual realm. But the third place, this city of light, this was closer to the truth. This was the reality that exists beyond the veil. And they told her something that defies all human logic and understanding. They revealed to her that what we perceive as death is not an ending, but a return, a homecoming. We are, they explained, multidimensional beings having a temporary experience in physical form. Death is the moment we remember who we truly are. But here's what's haunting. The beings showed her something else. They revealed to her that there are infinite realities existing simultaneously. Every choice we make, every path we don't take, creates another version of existence where that path was chosen. She saw her own life branch into countless variations. She saw the woman she could have become if she'd made different decisions. And they told her that consciousness doesn't die, it expands. It experiences. We are eternal explorers of infinite possibility, temporarily compressed into human form to learn lessons we can't learn anywhere else. When Sarah regained consciousness after her stroke, she was transformed. Not just spiritually, but physically and mentally. The doctors found it medically impossible that she'd survived with no permanent damage whatsoever. Her brain scans showed no signs of the stroke that should have killed her. She began speaking with clarity and conviction about what she'd experienced. She wrote a book, she gave lectures. She has spent years since then trying to communicate the most crucial message from her experience. We are not afraid. There is nothing to fear in death because death is not death. It's transformation. It's awakening. It's coming home. The skeptics remained skeptical. Of course, they offered neurological explanations. The dying brain creating hallucinations, oxygen deprivation causing vivid imagery, the body's natural opioid release creating the sensation of peace and love. But what neuroscience cannot explain is the specific knowledge Sarah gained during her final experience, knowledge she had no way of obtaining through normal learning. Details about consciousness and multidimensional reality that only became scientifically plausible decades later. Her story raises profound questions that we, as a species, are only beginning to ask. If consciousness survives death, if there are infinite realms of existence, if we are truly multidimensional beings, then what does that mean for how we live our lives now? What changes if we truly accept that nothing we do is ever lost, that every action ripples through the fabric of infinite reality? Sarah's message is both simple and revolutionary. We are eternal. We are infinite. And death is simply the moment we finally remember it. So the question becomes, what would you do differently if you knew with certainty that you were eternal? What dreams would you pursue? What fears would you release? What love would you express that you're currently withholding? Because, according to Sarah Mitchell and the beings of light she encountered, this life, this brief moment in physical form, is your chance to experience and learn something that your eternal self came here specifically to understand. The third death changed everything for Sarah Mitchell, and perhaps hearing her story, it changes something within you as well.